We're going to find some derivatives related to using numeric values. Basically what that means is you're not going to have a function. You're going to have some information like what f of x equals, like a number. Actually, it'll probably say like f of 1, what f of 1 equals, and probably like f prime of 1 equals. And then it will have different values that you're looking for. And then it'll ask you some questions related to those values. So you won't actually have to find like the equation of the derivative. These are just all in number form. So here's an example. You have f of 2 equals 1, you have g of 2 equals 4, f prime of 2 is negative 2, g prime of 2 is 3. So I know some information about the graph, but I don't really know the equation of the graph, and that's okay. So what it asked me is to figure out the derivative of h of x. And what I know is that h of x is f of x times g of x. So to find its derivative, what you do first is you find the derivative of f and g. So this is a product because it's two different functions. It's the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. Now, because 2 is the value that we're looking for, most likely it would ask you to figure out what h prime of 2 is. So after you find the derivative, you plug in the 2, and we would look at our numbers up here. So f of 2 is 1, g prime of 2 is 3, g of 2 is 4, f prime of 2 is negative 2, so we would have 3 plus negative 8, which is negative 5. So you start off by using your formula, and then you just plug in the numbers based on the numbers that's given to you. So we're going to use the same numbers, this time a different function. So h of x is f of x divided by g of x, and I want to figure out what h prime of 2 is. So I start off by finding the derivative of h of x, and I use the quotient rule at the bottom. Times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom over the bottom squared. Alright, so h prime of 2 would be where I plug in numbers. G of 2 is 4. F prime of 2 is negative 2. F of 2 is 1. G prime of 2 is 3. Over g of x, g of 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So we have negative 8 minus 3 over 4 squared, which is 16. Okay, new problem. And in this problem, I went ahead and added some other values like f prime of 4 and g prime of 4. So I want to find the derivative of this, and this should be h of x, and I'm trying to find h prime of x. So I start off with finding the derivative of f of x where g of x is plugged in. This is basically using the chain rule. And the chain rule here says you find the derivative of f and leave g in there. Then you multiply by the derivative of g. That's what chain rule says. So if I'm doing this at the value of 2, this means f prime of g of 2 times g prime of 2. Alright, so this means f prime of, alright, g of 2 from above is 4 times g prime of 2, and this is where we just plug in values. F of 4, just look up at the top, is 5. G prime of 2, look up at the top, is 3. And so you get 15. Alright, so here's what h of x is, and I want to find h prime of 2. So I'm going to find the derivative first. The derivative of 2 times f of x is just 2 f prime of x. The derivative of g of x is g prime of x. And then we just plug in our values. 2 times f prime of 2, since that's what we're looking for, this would be a 2 and this would be a 2. So it would be 2 times negative 2 minus g prime of 2, which is 3 So that's negative 4 minus 3, which is negative 7. Okay, so now on this one, here's another one. This is our last one. H of x is f of x to the third. So we want to find h prime of x. We have to do the chain rule. The 3 comes down in front. Leave f of x alone, make that square, but then don't forget that you have to multiply by the derivative of the inside. So you multiply by f prime of x. Alright, f of 2 is 1. F prime of 1, or f prime of 2 is negative 2. So we multiply that together and we get negative 6.